Yeah. We have Madam Joyce Bawah Mogtari back on the line. Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
Very, very well, thank you. Welcome
great,
to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you so much. You know, I listen to you guys most mornings when I'm in the car in particular.
Okay.
And so normally, yes, I follow, and I'm always sending little tweet messages to Ben and the rest of you.
Okay.
I'm criticizing or I'm praising something. And one day he said to me, "Oh, Joyce, you always come up with these things. Okay, so tell me, what should I have said?"
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. Now, I know that the camp in the euphoria in the camp is pretty high by this time, but I want to just ask about the first 120 days in terms of the rollout that the president-elect has in mind. Is there any priority in which order you're going to be looking at the 26-point plan?
Certainly. Don't forget that the biggest priority right now, the very biggest, is that we must quickly fix the economy and feed the good people of Ghana. My brother, I've roamed the length and breadth of Ghana. People are hungry. They're starving. You know, look at what multi-dimensionally poor looks like. Go to the Western region, a region that is home to just about every natural resource you can think of.
Yeah.
And see the levels of poverty. They've gotten even poorer by 20%. And this is from government's own statistician, not me.
Yeah.
So we must, of necessity, and look, on this occasion, God has given John Mahama and the NDC a commanding lead, an overwhelming lead in Parliament, where most of these decisions will take place and must happen very quickly. Look, our parliamentarians must rise up and realize that the 56.55% given to John Mahama was an act of God to save the good people of Ghana from hardship. It is a repudiation of the administration of Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, a repudiation of life, a refusal to be baited and to be blackmailed. So today the hardship is real. If we fix the economy, my brother, look around you. The new government and the expectations of a new government, the hopes of a new government are even affecting the stability of the city already.
Yeah.
Because people know that the nation records are going home. So immediately you can see there's a certain robustness suddenly. There's a certain expectation, a certain hope that has already been given to the good people of Ghana. As soon as we get the economy back onto a certain level of health, everything else will be improved. Look, they have capped ESLA. They have capped the Gov't fund.
Yeah.
They have capped the heritage fund that John Mahama left behind. It's what has been used currently to fund the introduction of the senior high school system. So there are a lot of things currently that are actually making it difficult for Ghanaians to thrive. We are still paying a COVID levy. We are paying a betting tax. We are paying all these little nuisance taxes. And someone told me there's a 20% tax on people who manufacture drinks, common drinks.
Yeah.
Little wonder then that most people who actually manufacture water are exporting it and don't want to sell here in Ghana. You know, we don't have a lot of time to dwell on majors and on minors and arguing about who did what and didn't do what. Ghanaians have given John Mahama and the NDC a clear mandate.
Yeah.
The youth of Ghana came out for us in ways that I'd never seen before in a very long time. And so we should not allow anything to waylay us. The focus must be immediately on delivering on better governance, on an efficient government, to deliver on less spending on wasted products, to deliver on the investigations and of the allegations of corruption, to recover the looted resources, to make sure that we make people accountable for all that the taxpayer has lost, to make sure we complete all the abandoned projects. That is actually one of the biggest gains on our economy. And that is something that must receive immediate attention. The matter to do with the $10 billion big push agenda is a matter that is on top of Mr. Mahama's agenda, because as soon as we reset on that, the private sector will kick in. There will be an infusion of resources. And we do know that that will propel us to the next level of job creation. For the first time, we will start to have a database of government CVs. All of this will be powered by high-level technological advances to do placements directly, to open up opportunities for people to check what skill set people have. That we have a challenge with the employment situation is not in doubt.
Yeah.
And it's now a critical threat even to our economy. If we can improve on all these things immediately within the next 120 days, my brother, make no mistake, Mr. Mahama has his hand on the pulse of this nation.
Yeah.
He knows that the young people want to see something different. People want to see people respect them. People want to see leaders take responsibility.
Absolutely.
You know that currently the IPPs are owed a lot of money.
Yep.
Why are they owed money? This was actually a very clear intervention. And once they are paid, we will have power. But we have not been told that they have stopped exporting the power that is in excess. So there must be something wrong.
Yeah.
There must be a reason why they are not paying. Why are foreign direct investments at an all-time low? There must be a reason why. Why is it that we are told we have 12,000 kilometers of roads, but we haven't seen these roads anywhere? Why are we told that nothing is being done about corruption? Look, we have a new finance minister. What effort has he made and told you that he is making to actually what? Improve on the economy? What measures has he come out to announce that will work to improve the economy? Nothing. So the whole country is in limbo, and they continue to spend. And if we had not won this election as we did, they would have carried the rest of the money and put in their pockets and gone home to sleep. So make no mistake that Bawah has become a symbol of Akufo-Addo's failure is because the economy is completely down. People want to see fiscal responsibility. Now that Mr. Mahama has a commanding lead in Parliament, may he not rest on his hours, but may he work with the resounding numbers that he has to deliver for the good people of Ghana. And I know that some of these measures will take place immediately after the process of transition. And we don't expect the transition to be a drawn-out thing. It shouldn't be. We have our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
A healthy economy will be something that will trickle down to all key facets of the economy. If we can have a healthy economy, we'll improve upon health. We'll improve upon our grit. We'll improve upon the economy on all the levels that are required. My brother, there's a lot of suffering in Ghana. There's a lot of pain and anguish. Ghanaians went out there on empty stomachs and voted in anger to remove the MPP from office. That must be something that continues to keep us humble and keep us on our toes.
Right. Hello, Joyce. So what do you think actually resonated with most of the voters in this election, and what also led to their decisive outcome?
I think the first thing will be the level of accountability that we promised. We offered them a transparent and accountable government. And I think that everybody, look, all the young people I've met are very interested in oral. They want to see these allegations of corruption investigated. They want to see them prosecuted. They want to see us recover some of these money. They want explanations for how we could have expended $58 million in the National Cathedral of taxpayers' money. They want to know why we don't have a Palugu Dam, when we've expended $11.8 million. Why we are still experiencing challenges with power distribution.
Yeah.
Because we have a debt of over billions owed by ECG, even importing meters that nobody can use. These things ought to be investigated. And Ghanaians have said, look, Greater Accra has given us 30 seats in Parliament. A complete riot and annihilation of the entity. The reason is simple. Because all the lands that were stolen, people chased out of their homes by land guards and thugs, set upon them by members of government. It's within itself telling. People want to see something different. They want to see people held accountable. So if we start off, even with Greater Accra alone, we can investigate all the land acquisitions, for example. Who owns them and how. You see, all of those people involved in those land transactions, they've all lost their feet. So people are very conscious of what is going on and will not countenance any level of disrespect. If there's anything that Akufo-Addo has been taught, it is a lesson in humility.
How do we, or rather, let me ask you, how do you intend to make this about accountability for the sake of the future, as opposed to appearing as a witch hunt of sorts?
My brother, if there's any individual who has been witch hunted, literally, he must be Mr. Mahama. And I'm sure he will not want to repeat that.
Okay.
And as long as these things are done transparently, you and I will know that this is fair. But make no mistake, we must end the partisan discussions of these matters. The money that Madame Tapa was found with That is a matter of public knowledge.
Yeah.
It is not about NPP or NDC. Imagine that I, Joyce Bawah, had that kind of money in my possession. You understand?
Yeah.
So the standards should be the same for everybody across board.
Absolutely.
National service, you've heard of what has happened.
Yeah.
In the course of Mr. Mahama's administration, the national service was investigated and everybody was sacked.
Yes.
And even a gentleman was prosecuted, if you remember.
Yes, I do.
But you see, because they told you that Mr. Mahama's administration was a bad one, none of you even took or made the time to find out some of the great things that Mr. Mahama had done while in office. They told you they were leaving doing so with Mr. Mahama, as though Mr. Mahama were in our homes and turning the lights on and off. President Kufuor, when the lights were going out, went and constructed Bui Dam.
Yeah.
Do you know that Bui Dam has never augmented the light of Akosombo? But who took him to task?
Yeah.
So, you know, let's be honest, Mr. Mahama has a certain futuristic vision. And he was someone who was on a certain trajectory. He knew that closing the infrastructure gap would be one of the ways in which Ghana can create jobs and better opportunities for its people.
Yes.
But it was bastardized.
Yes.
And everybody agreed with them.
Yes.
Today, Mr. Mahama stands vindicated.
Yes.
And Ghanaians have given him the clearest mandate yet to continue with whatever it is that he started. We were told that being a one-term president was a sin that should be talked about every day at the vestry and when you go for confession. Today we know that Mr. Mahama has received in spades what Akufo-Addo got in 2016, what he got in 2020, and more.
Yeah.
Almost 1.7 million votes and counting.
Yeah.
And so this is historic enough to remind and jolt Mr. Mahama into action that he has a singular responsibility on delivering on his vision for the good people of Ghana.
Yeah.
And if he can achieve even less of the stealing and graft, if he can attain fiscal discipline and stop the reckless borrowing, if we can investigate and make people accountable and responsible, Ghanaians will know that there is certainly a change, that this is worth queuing and voting for.
Yeah.
All right. So, Joyce, your party has actually proven to be very inclusive, especially for the fact that it has produced the first female vice president in Ghana. What does the president-elect envision for young people and, of course, for women in the administration?
You know, I would say one thing. I'm one of the few spokespersons standing, or one of the few very in-your-face special age standing, and I'm female. True. And when I arrived on the job, I had no experience in politics. I had no idea what was even to be expected of me. I didn't even know what to make out of the job. Today, if you stood outside and invited any female to take up this mantle of leadership from me, they will happily and willingly do so, because they now know that it is something that we can't do and do effectively without being nasty, aggressive, or even rude. But you can be effective as soon as you're given this responsibility. Let me say that now represents something, that it is possible for women to stand up and be counted. And the central region, like all parts of Ghana, stood with this ticket. Both of them have children in the age bracket of the many who are working the streets of Ghana and are jobless. They know the exigency of the day. They understand what the threat of unemployment means. And they know that job creation would also generate the growth that we all envisage and expect. And so make no mistake, this ticket has a certain iconic feel. It also speaks to the man John Mahama's progressive ideas. I remember the first time we had a conversation about whether or not a female could be his running mate. I had a research paper in my bag. I sent it to him, and this was somewhere in 2018 and thereabouts. And he asked me, but Joyce, how come you had this all this while and you didn't share it with us? And I said, oh, it's because you didn't seem to be too interested. But I've now paid for the research, and this is it. So the rest, as they say, is history. You know, sit with Mr. Mahama and talk to him. And yesterday I heard someone on one of your platforms. He said something very interesting. He said there's one thing he loves about John Mahama. He has a very good listening ear. He has a tendency to like divergent views. He likes to debate issues and likes to take opinions from just about anybody. I think this is what the youth have actually realized. Look at the young people around us. Look at Pablo, our youth organizer. Look at Sami Jensi, our communications officer. Look at the role they've played. My deputy, Anam. Erika J, and all these young people who came on board in the final embers of the campaign. Look at the level of interaction, the contributions they've made. I think that on this occasion, the NDC has showed the way. Look at the number of women crisscrossing the length and breadth of this country, campaigning for the National Democratic Congress. You know, we've had teams led by our party's Deputy Communications Officer, Madame Obobia Dako. We've had teams led by our chairman, General Tedin Tekia, our General Secretary, the Honorable Fifi Kweke, and our National Communications Officer, our youth organizer, powered an amazing youth drive, culminating into the Green Wave, which was fantastic. These are people that ought to take responsibility for the persons that they convinced to come on board. And they ought also to continue to deliver to the satisfaction of all these people who followed us. And so the historic nature of this win is not lost on us. But the entire responsibility is also something that we take very seriously. And I know that Mr. Mahama will make sure that we start immediately after this transition process to deliver to the interest and satisfaction. Look, for me, building something for our poor is my main objective for why I wanted us to win this election so badly. As someone who has traveled so closely with Mr. Mahama, I have seen, look, go to some of these constituencies, my brother, basic amenities such as a substation being changed. Look at the money that ECG and all these power agencies pay themselves as against the service they deliver to the good people of Ghana. You know, we need to go back to the drawing table. It is why Mr. Mahama campaigned on the agenda to reset Ghana. Let's reset our economy. Let's reset the health sector. Let's reset the housing sector. Reset the road sector. Let's be sure that all of you contribute largely to what we are delivering for the people of Ghana. You know, don't do for people what you think is for them. Ask the people what they want to be done for them and how. And the rest, as they say, will be easy.
All right. So, Joyce, the challenge I foresee, and I wonder how we're going to go and solve this, is you're looking to scrap a number of taxes: e-levy, COVID levy, the 10% levy on bet winnings, emissions levy, and so on and so forth. How do you then propose to make money to finish off the many projects that are unfinished and so on and so forth, considering, you know, the tightness of the budget in terms of, you know, expenditure and all of that?
You know, first and foremost, once there's a new government in place, there's a new injection also of hope. There's a new injection of investment.
True.
There's a new interest in Ghana. There are newer businesses that will now be interested in coming back for the oil and gas sector in particular, which is still very nascent and almost not so developed. There are many people who left because of red tape, bureaucracy, and corruption by Akufo-Addo and Bawah. Now that they are out of the picture, they know that the environment is friendlier. They will come back. The second thing is that what is the biggest way in which government loses money? It's tax avoidance. People pay consultants to tell them how to avoid taxes. So if you have a full tax overhaul, if you remove all the nuisance taxes, why not? Why do you think that when the foreigners come, they are able to do business here? Because they come with foreign exchange that we don't have. So our businesses cannot even compete with the foreigners who come in. You see, these are some of the trade imbalances that we must address. And I think that in this campaign, one person who answered this thing about trade imbalances very, very well to my mind was the Honorable Alan Charamante. And that's because that is his area of expertise. You know, you cannot develop if you don't stabilize the economy. If you continue to build so much into foreign exchange, how do you build your economy? If you continue to import all these foreign things, how do you build back your economy? The way to go is a full-fledged agricultural agenda. And I know that the 16 regions will each receive a full injection beyond planting for food and jobs. We want to improve the value chain of what agri represents for the future of Ghana. Can you imagine if we now have large plantations of maize, large plantations of rice, and we are consuming what we produce? We are then adding value to what is left and exporting. Look at the cocoa sector today. They're on their knees. This is one of the key exports that brings us foreign exchange. It is no longer working. Look at the amount that CEOs continue to earn. Look at the projects of the Bank of Ghana. But look at how much money is given to the bosses, cushioning them. You know, if Article 71 is reviewed as Ghanaians want to see, and now we have a clear mandate in Parliament to do that immediately, all of these are ways in which we can reduce the impact of nuisance taxes.
Okay.
We will then also reduce people who are going into tax avoidance and now encourage people to pay. Look, if we build beautifully on working to improve the tax regime, look, as a lawyer, I think that we need one code on what tax is for Ghana.
Okay.
Colleagues of mine come and they ask me, why do you have so many pieces of legislation?
Yeah.
So many pieces of legislation.
Yeah.
So they are difficult to implement, difficult to follow. Go to the Ghana Revenue Authority and see the rot in that place, the corruption. A lot of the money goes to waste and goes to individual pockets. They talked about revenue assurance. How much was paid to that company? Over $100 million. My brother, we must build an efficient system of governance.
Right.
And that alone would reduce all of these. Look, you won't even miss those taxes, my brother. How much you get from e-levy, for example? How much you get from the betting tax, for example?
Okay.
How much you get from the emissions tax, for example?
Okay.
There are many tax credits you can get. Let's use that to sustain our environment. And then we can make even more money.
Okay.
But I know that it starts to change. Now there's a new government in place. I've already seen the response. Have you checked the dollar lately? In the last day or two? Have you checked the vibrancy in the environment? Have you checked the robustness in the environment? Have you seen how suddenly Ghanaians are hopeful again? Because all the impunity has ended. The disrespect has ended. People now know that somebody will be transparent and be accountable and will be responsible for them. You know, there is something about democracy. And I'm happy that we now believe that if governments don't work through the democratic process, we will get rid of them.
Right.
You know, I think that this is it. Because look, there's a lot of waste in the system. The reckless borrowing. We are borrowed now to the hilt. We can't even go to international market. So something needs to be done. There must be a cap on borrowing.
Right.
The unnecessary reckless borrowing.
Right.
If you borrow for projects, if you borrow for investment, if you borrow to create employment, it will come back to the state. But you must also ensure efficiency. And you can only be efficient if you fight corruption at least effectively. Even if you can't remove it to zero, but at least meet us halfway. And then people will set up. Look, we need to improve upon our governance institutions in this country. Until then, taxes are not the way to go. They told you that taxation was a lazy man's approach. They introduced 40 taxes. And you put them to seek proof.
They
have no clue what to do. Today you have a new finance minister. Has he told you what measures he's putting in place beyond managing IMF resources to fix the economy? No. Has he told you what he's doing to improve the economy, to reduce the burden from people? Look, taxpayers such as pensioners have lost a lot of money. Has he told you how he's going to improve the investment climate? No. They deserve the red ticket. They failed and ought to go home.
Okay.
And Ghanaians have shown entire annihilation and the repudiation of that administration. The NDC today has over 180 members of parliament. An absolute number in terms of representation. And that should tell them something. That all their policies were wrong and were not to benefit the good people of Ghana, just to benefit a few people with a clannish mentality sitting at the seat of government. And that is wrong. It's against the human rights of our people even.
Right. So
why should you buy papaya and 2 years after the pandemic you are paying a COVID levy? Tell me why? Who does that?
I know, right?
I mean, who does that to their citizens?
Right.
Tell me who does that? We show certain sensitivity. And if for nothing, there's one thing I love about John Mahama. He's a very compassionate man. And I know that that compassion will show through the things that he will do to ameliorate the hardship on our people. Give them electricity, give them water, give them funds, give them basic amenities, give them freedom, give them security. Let them feel safe in their country. Let them dream again, let them hope again. Today, it is so sad that Herman Chinrehesi, who looks so forward to this change, is no longer here with us. And I hope that Ghanaian youth would go and read the stories about this great gentleman, and that it will actually propel our young people to dream big, do big things, invent things, be innovative. And let's change the face of our history and change the course of our young people. I think that is what we need to be focusing on. And I know that Mr. Mahama understands that the young people deserve better.
Right. So Joyce, there's actually one topic that everybody has been wondering about, and that's the topic of the National Cathedral. What's going to be happening to the National Cathedral now that the NDC is going to be in power?
The best part of that whole project is that it is a history that we don't want to remember too often. We want to ask what the money was used for, who it went to, and how, first and foremost. Let's investigate those resources $58 million, and I know there's more, a lot more. The truth is that because they are in government, they are hiding just how much has been expended. Let's find out that first. I believe that first things first. We need to put things in proper perspective. How do you expend $58 million and have absolutely nothing to show? Don't forget there's a compensation to the people who lost their properties in that exercise. There's a suit currently pending with a man who is demanding almost $5 million in damages. There's a suit from the Chief Justice's quarters herself because they also lost something in that exercise. There's a lot of things beyond what we intend to do with that piece of land. I think that we should focus on recovering the resources and putting them to better use.
I wanted you to give me one assurance before we let you go. The National Service Secretariat, what are you going to do about that, the rot that is happening there?
Look, my brother, there's even more rot than what has happened at the National Service Secretariat. There's rot across the length and breadth of our governance institutions. We are all borrowed to the hilt. The question is, what are they borrowing for? And on whose bank sheets are they borrowing? And why are they borrowing? Who supervises them? Who monitors what they are doing? So there is a lot of it. Look, I spoke to a gentleman from VRA and I asked him whether VRA was his private property. And that if VRA were his private property, would he spend $11.8 million of Palugu resources on preparatory activities, which is what he told me. I asked him whether he was a member of parliament and whether he was elected to occupy that office that he was sitting on, to be able to speak in the manner that he was doing. In any case, the land for Palugu was acquired through a compulsory acquisition process. So what have you done with $11.8 million with nothing to show? And for that disgrace alone, I am delighted that Ghanaians have humbled Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. They have told him that you cannot tell lies and we will reward your life and dishonesty. And let me tell you something, that credibility and humility are bedfellows. And all our leaders must take a cue from what has happened to Akufo-Addo and Bawumia and take it very seriously. And I hope our young people, all the prospective appointees, will remember, you know, because I work for Mr. Mahama, I understudy him. I seek to be very modest and very measured. And I also have a passion for being very respectful. And I think this is something that we must take very seriously. When Nanado's ministers were talking down to Ghanaians, when he himself said doing it, people tried to caution, but they were very averse to criticism. Today, even their most avowed supporters admit that the impunity was too much, the arrogance was too much, the disrespect was too much in the face of deep corruption. And today, where are we?
All right,
brothers and sisters, let's hold our leaders and keep them on their toes.
Right.
So when you see us failing, when you see us falling short, remind us that the 56.55% was for a purpose. That all those voters were not necessarily NDC people, but general people from all walks of life who made this victory possible. And that we must stand on their shoulders and deliver on a mandate that will make people feel better. Nana Jane has children in that age bracket. She's lived here all her life. And at her age and at her level, I'm sure she appreciates the fact that we must do more for the good people of Ghana.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So, Joyce, before we let you go, as his special aide, what is your proudest moment during the whole campaign?
Oh, my goodness. I think the best of them, I mean, there's so many of these moments, you know. I think that for me, in this course of campaign, I observed John Mahama's resilience as an individual. You know, it is 275 constituencies. And on these things, you're the only person who speaks, really, because it is your campaign as flag bearer. And I walked, when he spoke about offer, I saw the reaction of the people. One of the nuisance taxes, especially the betting tax, I saw the reaction of the people. When he spoke about completing the abandoned projects, I saw the reaction of the people. And let me tell you, in the Western region, where the president of the House of Chiefs is actually a man that used to be my client and a man I have enormous respect for. His personal friend is President Akufo-Addo. You know he couldn't stop his chiefs from criticizing the government, from criticizing the award of mining licenses, from criticizing what Galamsey was doing to the environment, criticizing the road network in the Western region. And yet the Western region gave them so much in 2016. Have you seen how they punished them? they literally lost entirely in the Western region and many other regions in Ghana. And let me reiterate that the National Democratic Congress is the broad-based People's Party here in Ghana. This election cements that in the annals of our history. And I hope that the NDC appreciates that they must deliver for the good people of Ghana. And they must deliver better governance, better economy, and on all the key indices. Go to the National Health Insurance. Look, a healthy people is something that we shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah.
Go and see the number of employees and what they benefit as against the beneficiaries for whom that health insurance was set up. Go to Cocoa Board and look at what they benefit as against what the cocoa farmers get. Go to the SNIT. Look at what the CEOs get as against what the pensioners get. These are the injustices that this administration must of necessity and speed address and do so quickly. You know, I am a strong, passionate advocate for live and let live. Every Ghanaian must be able to afford 3 square meals.
Yeah.
That is also a human right. And for me, that is my passion.
All right.
And I hope that the man that I serve will at least meet all of us halfway and deliver on the confidence that we repose in him.
Thank you very much, Joyce. Thank you
you
very
so
much for
much.
speaking to us
Thank
this
you
morning.
so much. And thank you to your media team that was with us all through. We're very grateful for your profound words of support and encouragement. And of course, for the work that all of you have done.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be engaging as the days go by. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, so we've been speaking with Madam Joyce Bawah Mogtari. She's a special aide to John Dramani Mahama. And I think she's given us a fair idea of what to expect in the coming days.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite interesting.
It's going to be interesting. All right, we want to take a look at the moment the EC chairperson took her seat to give us the announcement, the declaration.